Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we're going to be talking about Tyler Dibling. Are we getting close to a here we go? Also, we're going to talk about Trincao at Sporting and a player that could be joining Amrim again. Also, we'll have a little bit about Onana, Cherki, and also stadium update. Daily Mirror, Daily Mail, Chris Wheeler, interesting stadium update. We'll talk about that. One word, Bruno. I would like to talk about that as well. Kobbie Mainoo, and a few other bits. So quite a lot to get involved in tonight. But also, it's 8 o'clock show. It's good to be back in the 8 o'clock show. I'm very excited to be back in the 8 o'clock show, and there's a lot to get going in the 8 o'clock show. Really enjoying it already, and I've only just started. Before we get into that, though, we are sponsored by Manscaped tonight, which is always very exciting because they've got a discount, and that discount is 20% off with the code TUS20. You also get free worldwide delivery, which means that you get free worldwide delivery. So you get free delivery plus 20% off these fantastic items like the Handyman, which is in my hand, which you can charge up and literally it will shave you. Probably just left a bold patch under my thing there, but that's absolutely fantastic. I am spilling stuff all over me. We've also got the beard trimmer, which is great. I used that the other day, so I could, before Baller League. 11 different lengths on that. Waterproof, light, everything. We've also got the weed whacker for up the nose. And somewhere deep down here, we've got the lawnmower, which is down there. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. Fantastic products with Manscaped. I use them, and I do use them, and I have used them for a long time. Precision engineering for your family jewels down there with the lawnmower, but they've got everything else going on. Fantastic products, the best I've ever had. 20% off with the code TUS20, delivered to your door with free delivery. Check it out worldwide. Manscaped's trusted by millions of men worldwide. Check it out with Manscaped. Thank you very much. Links in the description. Can you do a tutorial video, says Doco? Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to, you know, yeah, no, absolutely not. I don't even know why I contemplated that. Stefan, welcome to the Members Club. You're an absolute legend. I hope you're doing well today. Let's start off, though, with, let's start off talking about Tyler Dibling. Manchester United, according to Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail, 14 Premier League clubs led by Manchester United, Tottenham, Liverpool and Man City have inquired about Tyler Dibling. There is also strong interest from Leipzig, Bayern Munich, Dortmund. Jason Wilcox knows him from his time at Southampton. United scouts watched Dibling in action for England under-19s versus Wales last week. We're going to start off with that. I also want to talk a little bit about Trincao as well, who I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, but you should know a little bit about Trincao. Now, some people might mix him up a little bit. He is a Sporting player, so therefore he's played under Amrim. 25 years of age, winger, left-footed. Interestingly, 1 year left on his contract. He'll be available for as little as £30 million. So I think there is some interest. Interesting. Now, a lot of people, I can't remember, is it Gonçalves? I can't pronounce his name either. I think he's a little bit older, and a lot of people said he'd be very good for the system. He was at Wolves and Barcelona too. But what are we thinking about these two players, Tyler Dibling and Trincao? Are they exciting? Are they good enough? Or are they just a little bit... they'll do. And I think that's the thing I want to say. Mojo, welcome to the Members Club. You can't not be a member, Mojo. You gift out about 100 every bloody stream. But if you are back, Mojo, well done. Thank you very much. He did play for Wolves, Liam. So, yeah, I think that we will be talking about the stadium. I want to get into this Cherki story and Branthwaite and Bruno and Mainoo and Onana as well. But let's start off with this because effectively this article has dropped from Chris Wheeler, confidential they call it. And there's a lot of stuff in there, but Tyler Dibling features quite prominently in that, and I think that it's an interesting place to start the night because as 19 years of age with 2 years left on his contract at Southampton, I like the idea of the signing, but I'm going to stick with what I've said. From what I've seen of him, I'm not convinced that he would come into Man United next season and make an instant impact. I think he's a long-term solution at Manchester United, and I just wonder how many of those we can actually have. To me, it goes back to and it's probably why I find Trincao a little bit more appealing, and I know I'll be in the minority. But in fact, let's do a little bit of a poll on that, because some people might have layers to it like a wedding cake, and some people might take it as a little bit, baseless. Dibling or Trincao? who would you go for? Trincao is going to cost about 30 mil. And Dibling's probably going to cost about, let's say, 45 mil, I'd say. With the competition that's there. 2 years left on his contract. Trincau's got one. Looter, thank you very much. Welcome to Members Club for getting your badge in. I'll explain my situation on this. I think Tyler Dibling is going to be a really interesting player. I think he's going to be a good player. Obviously plays off the right-hand side, could do the right wing-back role, could play further up the pitch, could develop into a 10. It's hard to define these sorts of players these days because, especially in an Amorim system, he could play out wide, he could play in behind the striker. So, yeah, he's definitely going to develop. And at 19, I say this about Garnacho and Mainoo, people are trying to write them off or write them on, and they've still got a lot of development, and Dibling's certainly got that development as well. But when I'm looking at players for Manchester United at the moment, I'm looking at profiles, I'm looking at the team, I'm looking at the instant impact they're going to make, because I don't think actually it's sustainable for Amorim to just build a team on potential. I don't think come Christmas time, if we're 9th in the league and we're not in Europe, I don't think people are going to go, okay, well, the stadium's not started yet either. This is what I'm talking about, reality, experience. Like, imagine this Christmas, it's 9th for Manchester United, a team of young players that are up and down like a yo-yo. The stadium's still not even started, and people start to go, hold on a minute, the pictures of the stadium were back in March. Not even started, not even got a tractor out yet. That's another 5 years from now then. And look at where we are in the league, and I think these are going to be the issues that we're going to face if we go down this road of future. I don't think Dibling next season is going to be ready for Manchester United. I think he's going to take 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 1 year. But I don't think he's ready, from what I've seen, to drop into a Man United side straight away and help us compete against the likes of Chelsea, Villa and Newcastle, let alone Arsenal, Liverpool and Man City. So I think he's one for the future. And I think he's a good player for the future. But how many players have we got for the future? Heaven, Obi, Garnacho, Mainoo, Rasmus is still developmental, Xerxes still finding his feet. So I just think it's another young player, Dorgu, Yoro, that I think it's another young player, that Collier, that comes in and, Fletcher. There are loads and loads of young players, what I'm trying to say, who've got loads and loads of potential, but who's the players who's going to nurture them, and where's the patience going to come from? And that's my issue with this. Oh, Wilcox knows him from his Southampton days. Well, it's probably going to cost 40 to 50 million pounds to get a player that's going to come in and not be ready. He'd be better off going to Liverpool. He'd be better off going to Spurs. He'd be better off going somewhere where there's a bit of experience around him, because at United, I think it's just another young player that won't be ready straight away. And I don't know whether that's the right fit. But what I will say is, that's just my opinion. A lot of you are going to disagree with me. And certainly Sir Jim, Sir David and Barada and Amorim and Wilcox are going to disagree with me, because this seems to be the route that we want to go down as well. Now, with Trincao, he is 25. He has played in a sporting system and he's 30 million quid. I've got to be honest, I'd go Trincao. And I'm actually stunned that 69% of you would as well. Because Tyler Dibling, in 3 years' time, will be 22 and Trincao will be 28. And in 3 years' time, you'd be going, we should have got Dibling. I completely agree. But circumstantial, we've got a lot of players that in 3 years' time might be better than Dibling. Obi, Heaven, Lasali, Kone, Lacey, Garnacho, Mainoo. We've got loads and loads of young players that in 3 years' time might be better than Dibling. But we won't have a 25 to 28-year-old who comes into the team and makes an impact straight away. And that, for me, is why I like the Trincao story, because 25, straight into the team, knows the system, played for Amorim, experienced. And I think we need a few of these types of players. And I think when people see experience, they think 28, 29, 30. I actually think 25 is perfect. 26 is perfect. Players that will be here for the next 4 or 5 years that will give us experience. And so look, I think United will lean more towards Dibling, but I actually would lean more towards Trincao, because I think this team is crying out for a bit of look, it will take him a little bit of time to settle. Of course it will, but there's no age gap back. There's no age excuse. It's like get in and get involved. David says if he's well advised, he'll go elsewhere. He's going to have immense pressure, expectation, etc. Glenn C says has most of the stuff you expected to come over the break come out, or do you think there's more? This is a great question, Glenn. And Bonk says, had we not already signed a few young players, I would say Dibling, but with around older players leaving this summer, we need some experience. I mean, this is exactly, I was literally going to say that next, Bonk. Yeah, if we didn't have quite a lot of young players, I'd be looking at the Dibling deal and say, we've got to do it, we've got to do it. But I trust in a lot of the young talent we've got at United. And I actually think there's a couple of right-sided sort of full-back wingers that we've already got that I think might break through in the next 18 months as well. But we haven't got 25-year-old experienced players. And I think that is something that this team is absolutely crying out for at the moment. Mojo says, weirdly enough, I'm having to renew my membership every month. It's not getting done automatically. No worries, though, says Mojo. It is the real one. And I think Dibling has potential. Trincao didn't make it at Barcelona and was okay at Wolves, says B. Gino. Is your volume okay, Mark, says Dad. Thank you very much for saying that. I guarantee you 100% the volume will not be okay because I was recording something with Terry earlier on his channel, which is actually very good. And whenever I go on StreamYard, it knocks it down. So it's going to go up a little bit there. Thank you very much for that, Dad of Fred the Red. Thank you. Welcome to the new members as well. Let me just go back to Glenn C, because we've got a few things to go through. We've just been talking about Tyler Dibling and Trincao there. I said at the start of the international window that I was expecting a couple of big stories to come out this January transfer window. And Glenn has basically said, have they all come out? The Onana one was the one I dropped last week. And there's a lot of people even today talking about that story from sources they've apparently got. So, yes, 1-0. No, I'm joking. We don't do that. We don't do that. But that was one that I knew was going to drop. That was what I was talking about when the international break started, that we're going to get a couple of big drops. The second one I'm waiting for still. And look, they don't always drop, but it's around the striker. I'm expecting by the weekend that we'll get a big story about who the striker, you know, I don't think we'll get the story of who the striker we're going for, but I think we will get a clearer indication. And the goalkeeper obviously was the big one. I mean, even today, I can't remember who it was talking about it, but even today I saw somebody talking about Onana dropping it as if it's their exclusive, which is absolutely fine. But we did speak about this over a week ago, and if you're part of the community, you know it was on the morning show. And as I said, the three principles of the Onana story is that Amrin wants to replace him. He likes him, but he wants his own guy, and he wants it to happen this summer. And a lot of it is to do with Onana. Look, the simplest thing I can say about Onana is that Ten Hag did to De Gea what Amrin wants to do to Onana. Ten Hag decided that De Gea wasn't his guy, and he wanted his own guy. And basically, Amrim's come in and gone, this is not my guy. This is Ten Hag's guy. He's a nice guy. He's not a bad goalkeeper, but I'm not comfortable building my team around this goalkeeper because he's not my guy. And that's basically why Amrin wants to do something about it. But what I will say is, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Onana is our goalkeeper next season, because you're doing what Jose Mourinho said. I don't like Anthony Martial. It's a Van Gaal signing. I want you to get rid of him. Martial outlasted Mourinho by a considerable amount of time. So it doesn't mean the club will do something about it. But I'm hoping the Saudi link we were talking about this morning does develop into something. The second story we'll have to wait and see. And that doesn't mean other things won't break. I can only tell you stuff I've been told, but I'm expecting something about the striker. I'm still hoping Baldanzi gets noticed, or Fernandes, says Payne. And basically United will always go for the cheap option, as that's their mentality, says Ginger Red 68. Emily Derry, hope you're doing well. She says, this team is crying out for players who are already a little bit more streetwise. We have a lot of talented kids. We often get caught out because of naivety. I think this is a great point, Emily. Really, really great point. And I think you're absolutely true. We're not... we're buying apprentices. And sometimes, you know, you need experience. And look, you can use this analogy absolutely anywhere. You can use it with porn stars if you want, but I'm not going to go down that road because obviously, you know, it's only just gone 8 o'clock. But if I'm building a house and I want it to be a, you know, a strong house that's going to last a long time, that everyone's going to look at and go, ooh, what an amazing house. I love your garden. And I'm being offered my workforce and people are saying, we can give you 20 apprentices or we can give you 12 experienced people. I'm probably going to go, you know what? I'll have a handful of apprentices and I'll have 10 experienced people. I want to mix it up, but I'm certainly not going to go with 20 apprentices. I want to go with experience and a few apprentices. And I think at United, we are at the moment trying to build something, and it feels like Sir Jim's plan is let's get loads of apprentices. And the problem with that is who's teaching them? Doesn't mean they're not good, but who's going to teach them? And also, if you've got 3 experienced people and 12 apprentices, the experienced people can't teach them all because there's too many of them. So I think we need a good balance. Yeah, definitely. What would the porn analogy be? Figure it out for yourself. Yeah. All the gear, no idea, don't know what they're doing. You know, you've played the game. Varun, literally, you've probably played the game. We've all been in, well, unless you're a virgin, we've all been in that road, haven't we? Where, you know, at the start, you know, we've got loads of ideas, we've got lots of promise and lots of excitement, but it takes a few goes to work your way around. And then ultimately, even when you know your way around, you might break up and then you start with someone else again and they might like different things. So, you know, as I said, use your imagination with that and the analogy. Varun, welcome to the Members Club. You've saved me. If Onana isn't Amram's guy, who do you think it is, says Ross? I think the thing with Amram's goalkeeping choice, I don't know. I personally think he would like Costa out of Porto, but I just don't think that's a doable deal. I think Costa is the guy that you bring in, and he'd almost be like a Raya. You know, he'd be like an Alisson. I think he's got the potential to be that type of a goalkeeper. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Man City this summer, actually, Costa. But I don't think we've got the money to do that. So I think we will be looking... I think Amram would rather have a 22-year-old goalkeeper who he can mould rather than Onana, who is very... And look, this is not criticism of Onana, but he's very self-assured, isn't he? You can't teach him. He knows what he's doing. So... we need to relax on only looking at youngsters. Are we Diddy FC or something, says the Dirty Bubble. Scooby-Doo, says Ollie. And who's putting out all this transfer rubbish? 89 million for past transfers, 40 million in interest payments. Where's the transfer kitty coming from, says Chris? Well, the drop mainly tonight is coming from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail. But look, I don't think anybody would be so naive as to say we're not going to sign any players. We are going to sign some players. Of course we are. And... but I think you're right. The cheaper, the more likely, definitely. As Ginger Red said. Talking about Ginger, actually, I was at Baller League last night. I got a lovely present to show you all. Obviously, Angry Ginger's got his own team. I wish I did. But get me one of these. And look at that. Love, epic, isn't it? I can be bribed. I am now I'm now a United. Well, I would support Ginge anyway. But, yeah, what a kit. What a kit. Varun, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you. What's the story about Rayan Cherki, says somebody in the chat. Well, look, I've sort of been... This is a player I keep seeing the name. I was watching Beth's show this afternoon. A lot of people were talking about him in the chat. And I was like, you know what? I think there's an honest conversation that needs to be had here about Cherki. Very exciting player, and I tell you what, he did very, very well against the England under-21s. And, you know, I think that's obviously something that, you know, we want to talk about. But there are a few things about Cherki that I think are worth sort of mentioning. First and foremost, the Lyon owner has criticised Cherki's agent multiple times. Publicly. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's a very, very talented player. And he will be available for a cheap price, but there'll be a lot of people looking at him as well. I just wanted to throw this out about Cherki in the sense that very exciting player, and he's certainly somebody I've seen, like Trevor says in the chat, absolute class player. He's somebody I've seen be mentioned in the chat by a very long, by a lot of you for a very long period of time. All I'm going to say about Cherki is two things, actually. One, we won't be the only money on the counter. You know, we're not the only ones looking at this player. Like, there will be lots of clubs looking at him. And I think reality check for a moment. Forget Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. Imagine if Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, all the big clubs said, we're not going anywhere near Cherki. I think traditionally we'd think, well, he's ours. But I don't think we're in that position at the moment. I actually think, all right, all the big clubs are not in for him, but what if like Newcastle are in for him, or Aston Villa are in for him? Or Chelsea are in for him, or Spurs are in for him. I mean, are they more attractive than us? Do they have better revenue than us? Can they offer better wages than us? So I think it'd be a very, very, very difficult deal for Manchester United to do. But I would also reserve judgment on something, and I think that many people will probably go, this is a great point. Some people won't. It's the way of the world. We are playing Lyon in a couple of weeks. 2 legs. He will play. He might be the difference. He might be the player that knocks us out, in which case we'll never buy him because everyone will be looking at him. Or we might watch him and go, good player, but you know what? He's not going to fit in an Amorim system. And that has to be forefront of all of our minds when we're looking at players, because it will be absolutely the forefront of Amorim and the recruitment team. Does he fit into United's system? Does he work hard defensively? Is he mobile enough? Does he pass the ball enough? And these are all things that I'll put my hand up. Might be that only guy who puts his hand up and is truthful. I need to see him for 180 minutes against us over the next few weeks to make my mind up about whether he's even suitable for us. Very talented, there's no doubt about that. But we've got to start buying system players as well. And yeah, James says Liverpool are signing Isak, Mark. Are they really? I don't think that would be announced tonight. And the eye test is very important, I think, with Cherki, as Terp just said there. Mark was hanging out with Chelsea players, everyone, says Parker. There wasn't any United players there, mate. What about... Anyway, I'm sure John Terry was a Man United fan when he was a kid. Pretty sure that's true. I'd have to fact check that. What about Binder instead of an Arna, says Simon. I don't think it'll happen. I really do not think that will happen. Someone in the chat just mentioned, Priya says Cherki could be another Sancho. I don't think that's fair, but you do raise a good point. Like, we've got to do the homework on players. And that's sort of what I was saying. And it's how I finished the morning show. I know people get excited, and I know people think every player is the Holy Grail, and I've done it. I thought Sancho was going to be the Holy Grail. I thought Sanchez was going to be the Holy Grail. You know, I thought Anthony was going to be the Holy Grail, and they all flopped. And there's a lot more you can add to that list. So we do have to, as a club and as a fan base, sometimes go, look, I thought Memphis was going to be awesome. His record was amazing that season we bought him. There's so many players we've had. And I think Mini Brew's absolutely right. We've got to do the due diligence on players. We've got to do the personality check. We've got to do the attitude check, the mentality check. You know, we've had these stories about his agent. We had these stories about Sancho at Dortmund sometimes being late. Should we have taken notice of those? So all of that has to be done. But I think we're going to get the eye test with Cherki, and I think that'd be very interesting to see. A few people talking about Ahmad. As I said this morning, not the start of April, more likely the back end of April for Ahmad, but before the end of the season, definitely, unless there's any setbacks, of course. Emperor says, how do you realistically see the transfer window? How many players is a minimum to make it okay? Too subjective for me to say that, mate. I'd be too subjective. I mean, I think you've got to try and be objective, but depends who's going to go. What if Rashford doesn't go? You know, what if Sancho does come back? That impacts us straight away. We know Eriksen's going to go. We know Lindelof's going to go. What if we can't remove Casemiro? So these things will have a direct impact. I would like to be in a position where we see people leaving the football club and also people coming into the football club. I ideally, even being realistic, would like to see a new goalkeeper. I would like to see at least one right-sided player coming in, at least one centre-back coming in, at least one midfielder coming in, and a striker coming in. That's 5 players. I would also additionally like another number 10. And if we can bonus over that, great. So for me, goalkeeper, right-sided player, centre-back, midfielder, striker, and number 10. 6 players. But that, I think, is already going to be a stretch. So what do you sacrifice? What don't you go for? Because we need all of them. And there are football clubs out there that would go, we need these 6 players, let's get 8. Let's get a couple in the same position in case one doesn't work. Because it's a dream. It's a dream, but there are clubs out there. You need 6 positions. I'm going to get you 9 players because in some of those positions, obviously 1 or 2 of them might flop. So let's get a couple. We're not going to do that. I think we're going to miss out on some players. But clubs will go out and do it in one summer because they want to be competitive next year. I think United, as we know, are probably going to go a little bit more long term. Hope you're well. You're great on what you do, says Leon. Thank you very much. I'm absolutely knackered at the moment. I've got to be honest. I'm sort of drunk on tiredness here. I was didn't get back from Baller League till about 2:30 in the morning, and then I was up at 7 o'clock so I could take Seb to school. But then I've been busy all day. I mean, get the little violin out. But no, just a bit tired. But I've been looking forward to this all day. Do this show, nice hot bath. Watch the rest of The Departed and fall asleep. Sounds great. What was I going to... There's something I do want to bring into the show, and I completely forgotten about it. Remind me about Branthwaite and Mainoo. I know, Bruno. Bloody Bruno. I don't know how many other people feel like this, but I do read the comments. And this morning, there was a strange number, not massive amounts, but there was a strange number of comments saying, stop slandering Bruno. You're always hating on Bruno. And I was like, I had to watch my own show back to go, because I know what I've said in a show. Not word for word, but I know the sections. I was like, I don't even bloody remember talking about Bruno. And then I remembered it was when we were talking about Ahmad coming back. And I was basically saying if Ahmad hadn't got injured, he would be player of the year. And that's how recency bias football can be. Because at the moment, Bruno can do no wrong. He is, quite rightly getting so much praise. But realistically, at the end of January, a lot of people wanted to sell Bruno and Ahmad was our best player. But now, I think Bruno will probably win player of the year. And honestly, I don't think he has been player of the year. I don't think all season he's been that good. That's what I said this morning. Apparently that's slander and apparently that's hate. And you know what? I never thought, in a way I'm quite proud, but I never thought we'd get to a point where Bruno's player FC. Like there are actually people out there that are blind to anything you say about Bruno and just see it as any conversation that's not kissing his arse is slander or hate. Mate, if you're going to come in our chat and start saying stop slandering or hating Bruno, maybe do some research on the channel. Because I've always liked Bruno. I was obsessed with the signing Bruno. There's not one part of me that doesn't like Bruno. I want him to be the player I believe he can be. And you could say I was the founder of Bruno FC before we even bought him because I never shut up about him for 8 months before. I pissed the chat off at that time. I mean, a lot of you will be new and won't remember, but some of you will. I never used to shut up about Bruno Fernandes and how we've got to sign him. I love Bruno, and I've loved his interviews over the last couple of weeks, and I've loved his performances. So I don't know where people are talking about slander or everything like that, but we're not tolerating player FC. A player can be discussed in an objective way. And up until probably 6 weeks ago, I think a lot of people would say Bruno wasn't having a good season. But the point wasn't that anyway. He's doing really, really well at the moment. I think he'll probably win Player of the Year. The point was, does he deserve Player of the Year based on a season from the start of August to the end of May? And football can be very recent. That was the conversation. And a lot of people were saying, I'd give it to De Ligt for across the season or Mazraoui for across the season because Bruno's doing well now. Ahmad did well till January and then got injured. Should it not go to the most consistent player? And I think, it is the March international break, so we can have that discussion. I never give a shit about Player of the Year. I thought Casemiro deserved it the year Rashford won it, but I was very happy that Rashford won it. I don't care about Player of the Year. The only thing that worries me is when we don't have a Player of the Year awards, like last year. And if we get knocked out by Lyon, we won't have an end of season awards show. They'll bin it off and save the money, probably quite rightly, because there's no way we're going to get an end of season awards show when we finish 15th in the league and we're out of every tournament by the end of April. So just contextually remember how thin the ice is for this season and how important the Europa League is. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I was like, what are all these comments about stop slandering Bruno? I mean, this channel is not really that place. Like, not if you know the origins. I think on Bruno as well, what I would say is we learnt this together about 3 months ago. I can't remember what game it was. Certainly January time. Bruno got subbed off because he wasn't playing very well and we weren't playing very well. And then we were absolutely shite without him. And say what you like about Bruno, we're a better team with him than we are without him. Even if he's not playing well, we are a better team with him than we are without him. And that goes back to, very good at this, Trincao or Dibling. This is why I'd go for Trincao, because we're so reliant on the minimal experience that we've got that even if one of our experienced players plays badly, if you take them off, we get worse. So we do need more experienced players in that team, because you should be able to do what Jurgen Klopp does or what Ange does. If Salah's not having a good game, he'll take him off on a slot now. Or Son. We can't actually take off certain players, even if they're playing badly, because the team will drop. We've got to get to that position where we have enough experience that we can sub players. Mr. Start, what's this about siblings, says Jack. Well, I can tell you that the poll has actually impressed me tonight, because either or, Dibling for 45 million at 19 years of age or Trincao for 30 million at 25 years of age, 66% of you have gone with Trincao and 34% of you have gone with Tyler Dibling. So very impressed with that. Doesn't mean it's right, but I do agree with you for the reasons I've said before. What do you think is going to happen with Mainoo, Mark? The same thing I said to you. I mean, I don't know. We do so many shows. I presume it was last week or the week before. My theory on Mainoo is that Manchester United are doing it on purpose to sort of put the message out there that we're broke and panic fans. Also to put the message out there to the rest of the world that we'll consider selling anybody. But ultimately, I think Mainoo is being used as bait. Bait to make fans realise how desperate and bad the situation is, but bait also to make clubs look at Man United and go, people are available, let's try it. But I don't think Mainoo's available. I think Mainoo will sign a new contract, and I think we will get the whole, it's like a new signing. And I say that because from Mainoo's side, people have told me that from their side, they're very confused as to what this is all about, because they're not getting any indication that Man United are putting it up for sale or anything like that. So I think that Man United are playing a game with Mainoo. They're probably trying to get him to lower his wage demands as well, because that's the game that United love to play, which is saving money. But I don't think they've got any intention of selling Mainoo. And I don't think Mainoo will leave Manchester United either. I just think it's political. I suppose that's the word, football politics. You send a message out in more ways than one that everybody's for sale, everybody's got a price, and that our situation is quite dire. But when push comes to shove, if Chelsea came in and said there's £70 million for Mainoo, I don't think they'd take it. I really don't. And I think what they're doing as well is, and I've seen loads of companies do this over the years, I've worked for a couple, when you've got nothing but bad going on and there's no way to legitimately make something positive, you've got to look within with what you've got and go, how do we manipulate what we've already got into a positive? You know? Imagine McDonald's, right? Imagine they were losing, which they're not. And they've got no money to do anything. All they've got is their menu. Well, what you do is you go, look at the Big Mac. The amazing Big Mac. It's been around for years. Look at old adverts of the Big Mac. Oh, look at how many Big Macs have been eaten worldwide. You're just using something that you've got to generate publicity. And I think that's what United are doing with Mainoo. I think they're going, ooh, look at Mainoo, he's amazing. We might sell him. We might be selling Mainoo. We get them all worried about Mainoo. We might sell Mainoo, yeah, we might. Ooh, look, we might sell him. Like, oh, we're not doing all that, but you know what I mean. Mainoo, we might sell Mainoo, and then you go, oh, new contract for Mainoo. And everyone who was panicking goes, oh, thank God for that. And you turn nothing into worry into happy. So basically, if they said nothing about Mainoo, no one would have thought he was going or anything like that. But no one was thinking Mainoo was going to get sold. So it was a non-story. Oh, we might get sold, you idiots. You bloody idiots. Yeah, we might sell him. Ooh, we might do it. You're bloody stupid. You'd be mad to do that. Oh, yeah, Chelsea might be interested. Oh, my God, he's going to a rival, Dave. I can't believe it. What are we going to do? Not really. He's signing a new contract. Oh, they're bloody brilliant, Sir Jim, isn't he? Yeah, look at what he's done for us now. He's saved us, and that's how it works basically. And I think that's what's going on here from indications. I think it's just the situation is shit at United. So let's spin positive stories out of what we've already got and create the story. Yeah. Has Ruben found a position for Bruno now? He has improved since he moved to midfield, but I suppose we'll learn more over the next few weeks. Daz, I think we spoke about this before, and we did a poll about it the other day. If you'd have said to me at Christmas time that Bruno Fernandes was now a centre midfielder, I would have said, well, this is not going to work. And it's a testament to Ruben Amorim, and it's a testament to Bruno Fernandes that I would say now that's his position at Manchester United forever. I think he's going to be a centre midfielder. Now, look, it's Leicester. It's Real Sociedad with 10 men. It ain't Liverpool at Anfield, and it ain't Barcelona at the Nou Camp. Can Bruno Fernandes do that week in, week out as a centre midfielder? That's going to be very interesting, because if he can do that, he's better than we even think he is, because you're suddenly learning to pick up the runners, position yourself in positions to take the ball off the back four and, dictate the game from deeper. But I think it is the plan. I don't think Amorim wants to use Bruno behind the strikers because of his mobility. I think he wants to use him deeper because he knows at 31 this year, he's never going to get quicker. He's going to get slower, and he wants to use his football brain from a deeper position. The question is, in a pivot, can he be defensively good enough? Well, there are 3 centre-backs there. So I think Bruno is going to be a midfielder now. And what I do like about Bruno in that position is the discipline. You've got to be disciplined. And I think Bruno, obviously, overcompensates for some of the positions where we're weak and runs all over the place. So, yeah, interesting with that. Kind of like what Paul Scholes did, says Marcus. Yeah, look, Paul Scholes played in a midfield too. You know why it worked? He had people like Carrick and Roy Keane next to him. And if you can find that player, you can put anyone next to them. If you put Kante with Bruno, Bruno'd be bloody fine. You put Yaya Toure with Bruno, be absolutely fine. You put Roy Keane with Bruno, be absolutely fine. You've just got to find the player that can do that, or a couple of players that can do that, definitely. And look at Modric. He's been playing for years and years and years, and Modric was more of an attacking midfielder as well. I mean, obviously, Real Madrid are very, very good in a league that they dominate, but I do think that Bruno is going to be a midfielder, yeah, definitely. Are you... okay, let me just get rid of Jay, because he's a weirdo. Loves the Glazers. We need at least 1 striker, 2 cams, 1 CDM, 1 centre-back and 1 goalkeeper. How many of these positions do you think we'll cover this summer realistically, says Mirror? Mirror, I think if we cover all of the positions, we'll be doing it on the cheap. And that's going to be something we're going to learn as well. We might buy 7 players in the summer, but they might all be cheap. Quality is more important than quantity. Like, we do need 7 players, but what if they're all not good enough? You'd be better off bringing 3 players who are and going more long term, I suppose. Talking about long term, I nearly forgot to talk to you about this, but I haven't forgotten. Interesting update from Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail, confidential update. I think that's what they call it anyway. Effectively talking about the stadium. So we've spoken about this a little bit. Obviously, we did a video on this, which was very in-depth and informative a few weeks ago about how Man United do own land in the regeneration project that the government want to fund. So, there is a bit of manoeuvrability for United to do things. But basically, what it says is that the construction of United's new $2 billion stadium might take longer than some people hope. They have got, there's a freight company owned, not by Man United, that is part and parcel of the design plans for the new Manchester United ground. I won't call it Old Trafford because we don't know whether it's going to be called that. And basically, there are concerns that the freight lining company will need to relocate. Freightliner, who own the terminal behind the Stretford end. If you've ever been behind the Stretford end, there's not loads and loads of space when you can see this freight terminal. Talks have been positive, according to the Mail, but Freightliner probably won't be able to relocate until around 2029. Which is obviously problematic because it's 5 years to build the stadium from the moment we start building the stadium. And if this Freightliner aren't moving till 2029, that's 4 years away. So the article goes on to say that, look, delays could happen, but one option being considered is for United to basically move the plans to somewhere else. Not, still in the same place, but move the pictures we've seen so it's a little bit different, because they do own land at the back of the car park at Old Trafford. So they could start building work, and Freightliner can continue where they are. But even then, plans, the fight, basically, reality is starting to bite, isn't it? Like the 5-year project that brought positivity and divided the fan base a couple of weeks ago did exactly what it was meant to do. Protests on Sunday, divide the fan base on Tuesday with positivity and PR. The stadium didn't start being built 2 weeks ago. The stadium hasn't been built. The funding for the regeneration project from the government hasn't been signed off. And realistically, some people think there is a chance that things could start by late 2025, early 2026. But a lot of things have got to start happening for that to happen. We're talking exclusively about the stadium here. And as I said, I can't remember whether we were told this. I don't think we were. I think it was just a theory. I personally think they weren't going to show those pictures and do that until the end of the season. I think they brought it forward as Operation Spin because of the protests. I don't think they were going to show those pictures of the stadium until the summer. I just think they brought it forward to... Because ultimately, what was it? A few pictures off ChatGPT and a Gary Neville audio over a project. So they haven't told us when it's starting, have they? I just think they brought forward the PR of it to shut down a bit of the protests. Because most projects, whether it's a new bridge or it's a new office building or whatever, they normally go, here are the pictures and work starts this summer. And at no point have we been told when this is starting. We've just been gone, oh, we know we're shit on the pitch and people are protesting, but look what we're going to do at the future at some point in some place in time, someday, one day, and here are the pictures that we've drawn that probably won't be what we do. It's just basically imagination. Use your imagination. That's what we did. It will happen at some point one day in the future with something that looks like that. It'll have a football pitch. It definitely will have a football pitch. The rest of it could just be a picture. We don't know. But stop doing your protests because at one day, sometime in the future, one day we will have this stadium. And I do agree with that, by the way. At one day, someday in the future, we will have the stadium. But not in 5 years. Not in 5 years. I think, what are we at? Next season starts in August, which is basically 4 months away. That's the 25-26 season. 26-27, 28, 27-28, which is when we're going to win the league, apparently. 28, 29, 29-30, 30-31. That's not happening, is it? It's not happening, really. LMG says, Cherki can play left wing, right wing, 10 and 8, and is more technically gifted than all current United players, both footed, and he's miles better than Trincao or Dibling, says LMG. Thank you very much for your super chat, mate. I'm not using you as the sacrificial lamb here, but everything you've said there, I hope you're right. But I've heard this about Jadon Sancho. I've heard all this before. Sancho can do this, that, and the other. He's balling in the Dortmund team. He's playing in the Champions League. He can play right wing, left wing. He's going to solve our wing issues. He's going to be absolutely brilliant. And the problem is, LMG, what's his mentality? What are the people around him like? What's his work rate like? You know, all these things have to be looked at, because you can't tell me and I can't tell you, based on what he's done in a Lyon shirt and France into under 21s, that he's ready to go and do it for Barcelona or Man United or Spurs or anyone else like that. And that's why I'm looking forward to watching him playing against Lyon. But I'll also say, I haven't really even seen Man United are in for him. So even if he is decent, he's probably going to be wearing not a Man United shirt, is he? But look, he's a very exciting player. I'm looking forward. Looking forward to seeing him against us is not the word, is it? I'm not looking forward to watching a player tear us apart and then go and sign for Liverpool or someone else. But yeah. Trincao is in the last year of his contract, says Squirrel. Yeah, he would be a cheaper option. Yeah, and also we've got to be very realistic about that. Like, we're not spending £50 million on every player. We're going to have to find bargains. It was also interesting what Chris Wheeler said about Branthwaite, because it was Chris Wheeler and the Mail that broke the Branthwaite story last June. It was one of the only signings of last summer, or transfer stories. It was one of the only credible transfer stories last summer that didn't come from Ornstein or Romano. And it was Branthwaite and it was the Mail. Was it Ian Ladyman and Chris Wheeler who led on that story? So he's said about Branthwaite, which is very interesting, because I've been saying this for a while now, and I think a lot of you have. He said, in relation to Branthwaite, he is admired by Manchester United, but there has been no contact since last summer. So I think, as many of us have suspected, Branthwaite was a Ten Hag Ashworth project, not an Amorim or current project. I think it's just lazy journalism to link us to Branthwaite. In fact, Sky did it this morning, didn't they? I think it's just lazy because we bid for that player last summer. So, therefore, Branthwaite wants to leave Everton this summer. Man United bid for him last summer, so Man United are going to go back in for him. And it's a punt. And it's a fair punt. Like, I could sit here and say we're going to sign Branthwaite in the summer, and there's a chance I might be right, because evidentially he wants to leave. He wanted to come to us last summer, and Everton wanted ridiculous money, and we didn't offer it. So we could buy Branthwaite in the summer, but my feeling is I wouldn't make that guess, because we've got a different manager, and I don't think we want to spend £50 million on Branthwaite. I don't think we need to. I don't think we want to. I think we want a centre-back, but I don't think we want to spend £50 million on one. So I don't think we're in for him. And it's interesting that Chris Wheeler said that as well at the moment. Kibri says, the sooner we realise we aren't poor and not a big club anymore, the better. Thank God, says Guy Fawkes. I'm sure Jim's even looked into player walk-on music for commercial benefit. I'm calling Voices or The Brood, says Gavin. On incomings, much will depend if we get Champions League, says Don. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Our next game is a week tonight, isn't it? Forest away from home, and then it's 2 weeks on Thursday we play Lyon. The games are going to come thick and fast after the weekend, but it is all about the Europa League. It will be all about the Europa League, and the only thing I will say, and obviously we'll talk about it in more depth, my only concern about United is, it sounds stupid considering where we are in the league, I don't know how good we are. I don't know how good we are. Like, it's like, when you might have done it when you were younger, like you're playing, I don't know whether people do it anymore, but I used to go down the pub a lot when I was like 15, 16, 17, and we go in the pool room, which is like a smaller version of my local pub didn't have a swimming pool. It's a game pool. It's like snooker, but on a smaller thing. And I was quite good at it, and I still am very good at it, actually, but that's not relevant. But I was quite good at it, and I'd play down the pub most nights, and I'd be I was very good at it. But then they had like a pool league where you play against other pubs. So every Wednesday, home or away, you'd go to a local pub and play 3 of their best players across an hour, and there was a league and everything like that. And I always used to think, when I first started doing it, I was like, I know I'm good within my environment, but I don't know how good I am playing against other people. And I think that's what, sort of what I feel about United at the moment. I don't know how good we are. I think we're going to win the Europa League because I said it in January, and we have to win the Europa League because if we don't, as was said there, financially we're in shit. But I actually don't know how good we are compared to Lyon and Athletic Bilbao and whoever else is in the final. I don't know how good we are. And that's what worries me about Man United. I just don't know how good we are. We might be good enough to do it. And I certainly think we've got the players and the manager to do it. But I don't know how good we are. And also, I think the Premier League concerns me a little bit because although to me it's irrelevant, and to many of you it's irrelevant, it won't be relevant to it won't be irrelevant to the mainstream. If we get our arses handed on a plate by Man City, that'll be a big story. If we go to Newcastle and get battered, or Forest and get beat, that will be a big story. And we've got a lot of games coming up. Newcastle away, Forest away, Man City at home, Bournemouth away, Brentford away, Villa at home, Chelsea away. We've got a lot of games where we could lose. I think we'll get beat at least 3 more times in the Premier League between now and the end of the season, just based on the fixtures we've got. But I hope the mentality in the squad is that it doesn't actually matter as long as we win the Europa League. Hi, Mark. Have we had a poll for Gyökeres or David? It would be an absolute waste of time, Tom, but I will do it because you did a super chat. And I'm not even going to ruin it by doing any... This is not going to work. Let's have a look. Did it work? Yes, there we go. If we don't get Jonathan David, by the way, I don't know where we're going to end up with the striker, which is why I was expecting something this week to break. Maybe it still will. I don't know who the striker is we're going for, but I don't think Man United do as well. I mean, like I would know, but I genuinely, even when you try and figure it out, I don't know who the striker is we're going to go for. M's getting... I'm going to blame ending the show on M because they've just said it's been an hour. So, yeah. That's Football Next. I'm not on That's Football Next. I did a very good video on the Football Terrace with Terry that's only been out for about an hour. Just something a bit different. We were talking about some of the topical stuff this week. I think you'd really enjoy it if you haven't seen that. Go onto the Football Terrace and check it. Make sure you go to Football Terrace and subscribe, by the way, because they're very close to 450,000 subs. They're on 449. And obviously Terry's been helping out on the channel, so really appreciate that. Gyökeres 84%, David 16%. There we go. Thanks everyone for watching. We're back in the morning at 10 o'clock. I'm on the 2 o'clock tomorrow, actually. That'll be a nice little change. I'm on a 2 o'clock show tomorrow. And of course, we'll have an 8 o'clock show. I'm with you all week now. Terry's off to Ireland on Thursday, so he can't do the 8 o'clock, so I'm here. I don't know if that's good or bad for you, but I love the 8 o'clock shows. They fly by, especially in the international break. I really enjoy these conversations we're having. So, yeah, thank you, everybody. Take care, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Don't forget to check out Manscaped on your way out. Trim the grass to make the yard look bigger. 20% off with the code TUS20 and free worldwide delivery. Give it a go. Take care, everyone. Speak to you later, and stay safe.